Hey there, it's Susan Pierce Thompson, and welcome to the weekly vlog. It is the day before American Thanksgiving 2019. And, you know, I've shot a lot of vlogs already on how to handle Thanksgiving. And if you want to get the roadmap for exactly how to get through Thanksgiving Day, bright lines intact, and actually sail through the day and chalk it up as the biggest win in the win column, I recommend you go to brightlineeating.com/blog or go to brightlineeating.com and click on the blog tab and just type Thanksgiving into the search bar, and you will see so much by the way of good advice for how to handle Thanksgiving. And just saying, that applies for any holiday party, and just saying, that applies for any special occasion too, across the board throughout the year. Today, I'm not going to cover that. I'm not going to give you the full roadmap for how to handle Thanksgiving Day. What I'm going to do instead is give you a tip that's so small, it's actually huge. I'm going to talk to you about micro-gratitude. Now, micro-gratitude is a thing, apparently. I Googled it, so I know it's a thing. Google told me it's a thing, because when you Google it, stuff comes up. But I just heard about it for the first time, like a week ago. Kim Champion, who is a Bright Lifer and the leader of my current Gideon Games team, mentioned it in this Marco Polo video that she shot as she was driving, I don't know, somewhere on a Saturday morning or something. She's like, oh, micro-gratitude, and my friend in Brightline Eating talks about it, and I was like, micro-gratitude? Now there is an idea worth thinking about. Okay, let's talk about micro-gratitude. First of all, a quick definition. I made this up. This doesn't come from anywhere official. The definition of micro-gratitude, I'm thinking, is something like focusing on something small in the present moment with consciousness and awareness in a spirit of enjoyment, savoring, thankfulness, aliveness, awakeness, love, and appreciation, in a way that then makes you feel present and sparkly and warm and so very good. So, and again, I don't know that that's the official definition, just saying. So here's the thing about science. And I'm going to go back now to when I was a kid. I don't know if you know about this. I don't know if you know this about me. When I was 10, if you'd have asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would have looked you dead in the eye and said, an astrophysicist. I wanted a PhD in astrophysics, I believe, from Cambridge. I don't know where I got that. I think that just sounded good. And I had no spirituality or religion when I was a kid, but I had a faith in science. And I studied astrophysics as a 10-year-old, and meaning like the physics of the sky, but also particle physics. They're linked, right? And what I realized as a kid is the smaller you go, the bigger you get, right? Stay with me here for a second. For example, look at the pinpoint of light that is a star. On your back, lying in the grass at night, staring up at the sky. That pinprick of light is so small. But if you fixate on it to the exclusion of all else and just savor and dive in to the experience of that tiny, small, micro pinprick of light, suddenly the distance between you and that star and the awareness of how long ago that light started traveling, probably hundreds of thousands of years ago, to finally meet your eyes at that moment. All of that starts to And from something so small, you get an experience that's so big. So if you think about micro gratitude, you can start to develop a flexible mind for all gratitude. Gratitude is a practice, it's a skill, it's something you can get good at. I know this because I teach people to make gratitude lists, and and sometimes I'll just ask them, "What are you grateful for?" And I'll watch them stumble sometimes at the beginning if they're not used to thinking about gratitude. They'll think, I don't know, and then they'll come up with something like my spouse, my kids. They'll come up with basics, but it'll be like pulling teeth. I'm like, come on, what are you grateful for? Someone who's practiced at making gratitude lists, at thinking about gratitude, instantly is like, they start small. I notice, right? They're like, oh, I'm right now? Oh, infinite number of things. I'm grateful for the way the light is shining against the table where I'm sitting right now. And I'm grateful for these really warm, fuzzy socks that I have, because I went to this bookstore and they were selling reading socks. And I thought, oh my goodness, what a great idea, reading socks. And I'm grateful for this stuffed animal here, Yerp. And I'm grateful for this note. Oh, I just planted this right here. Because in my office, somebody I love just left me this note. Are you my boo? Yerp. I don't know if you remember last week's vlog on the Boo Crew. Oh, are you my boo? Yerp. And I'm grateful for my favorite mug that is the micro gratitude mug. This moment is more precious than you think. And I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful for. Someone who's practiced at micro gratitude, at just noticing any small thing and thinking like, what am I grateful for in this moment, in this situation? The cascade of things to be grateful for is effortless and infinite, and it just pours out of you. Yerp. It also creates a feeling of transcendence if you take it to its logical conclusion. So my first experience with this was when I was a kid on the Mesa in Colorado. I talk about this in the Bright Line Eating book in my introduction, which is my story, right? The first beginning part, I'm a little girl on the Mesa in Colorado and there's a marshmallow being put into my hand. I used to go there summers, and there was this book that I stumbled upon. It wasn't my book, but it was a kid's book. And I was maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I saw this book, and I forget the name of it, but it might have been something like Are We Rich or something like that. And it was a kid's book with big pictures. And the story was a little girl from a very, very poor family. And she was being teased at school because they were really poor, like really poor. Like her clothes had holes, her shoes had holes, they didn't have money for shoes, she didn't smell so good. She often came without lunch and didn't have food to eat, like a really poor little girl. And her friends at school were teasing, not friends, obviously, were teasing her that she was poor, and she was young and just learning the words poor and rich. So she came home crying one day from school and she said, Mommy, are we poor or are we rich? And her mother said to her, oh, honey, we're rich. And the little girl's eyes lit up and she said, we are? And her mom said, well, of course we are, sweetheart. And she said, tell me, what does that mean that we're rich? How are we rich? And her mom said, oh, sweetheart, you can figure this out for yourself. Look at this arm you've got. What do you think that's worth? Think, sweetie, what if you didn't have this arm? How much would you pay to get it back? Go away and think about that. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'd pay $1 million to get my arm back. Her mom said, exactly, sweetie. And look at this toe. What if you didn't have your big toe? And on, her eyes, her ears. And she started to realize how rich she was, like stinking, filthy rich. And she went back to the kids at school and explained to them how rich she was. So if you take microgratitude really small and you start to think about grateful for this breath, grateful for this day, grateful for this life. I started just back on the science theme. I was thinking about this on Saturday, actually, and I was thinking about math. And you know how in math, any finite number divided by infinity is zero? Did you ever learn that in math? Like infinity is so big that if you have a fraction and anything is in the numerator, even a million, but infinity is in the denominator, that's literally mathematically identical to zero. So I started thinking on Saturday about all the days that have existed since before I was born, stretching back, and all the days that will exist after I die, stretching forward, and then all the days that I'm alive, which is a finite number. Don't know how many yet. Don't know what number is, but that's in the numerator. The denominator is infinity. The days of my life are literally, mathematically, zero. You know how your friends say, oh, be grateful your kids grow up so fast, right? That fast. Our lives, that quick. I was thinking about this Saturday because someone died. And I was thinking about how brief life is. And then I started to think about gratitude for this day. How incredibly precious this day is. And then the Wednesday before Thanksgiving came up, and I thought, I think I'm going to shoot this vlog on microgratitude. And how microgratitude is not so micro. So this Thanksgiving, I invite you to practice with me. As you rock up to wherever you are, and if you're overseas and Thanksgiving's not a thing, because I know we're very American-centric over here, as you rock up to wherever you rock up on Thursday, I invite you to think with me. Who am I about to see at this place, wherever it is I'm going? And before I look them in the eyes and say hi, can I think of one thing that I love about them? And how is it that the warmth of the holidays is not really about eating excess food? That the warmth of the holidays is about that eye contact right there with them right now. And can I be grateful for their attention? The most precious thing that anyone can ever give us, a little bit of their genuine attention and love. And can I put the experience of that gratitude for them and our connection so front and center in my mind right now that it completely alters my experience of interacting with them? Notice, if there are kids in the house, they're going to be the most fun to play that game with because they're the most present. Everyone else is typically off in their grown-up la la land, but the kids will be right there with you. Micro-gratitude. Not so micro. That's the weekly vlog. I'll see you next week.